Thank you, Kat. We'll just start in a moment and just give it another 30 seconds. Great. I will start. So this is the information support, the open call information support webinar for unlocking the value chain of EVs and micromobility in India. And it will form a basis for just to share a bit more information about the project and the open call and how to apply. If there are any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we will get to them later. But I would like to just invite Aline to start. You're on mute, Aline.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Aline Martins. I'm a Global Business and Partnerships Lead at Connected Places Catapult, and I'm also the project lead for this exciting initiative. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the project. Unlocking the value chain of EVs and micromobility in India has the goal of fostering mutually beneficial relationships between UK SMEs and Indian stakeholders within the electric vehicles and micromobility sectors. So this initiative is funded by Innovate UK, is really dedicated to working with Indian subnational governments, so including cities and states, to address key challenges that really hinder the wider adoption of EVs and micromobility schemes in India, and really to support them in their transition to net zero. And in doing so, we are also trying to create valuable opportunities for UK innovators to access India's rapidly growing market. As I've mentioned, this project is being funded by Innovate UK, but we're working very closely with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office in India. And we have our local partners, GBI. You're going to hear a little bit about them shortly. And we're also working very closely with the stakeholders in the cities of Chennai and Kolkata, and also with the state of Tamil Nadu. Next slide, please. As I said, I'm just going to cover in a little bit more detail the objectives of the program. And as I've mentioned, this is really about promoting long-term partnerships between UK stakeholders, particularly SMEs and India, but really mutually beneficial partnerships. To do that, we are identifying and validated market challenges, working closely with Indian stakeholders to really identify and validate those critical market challenges and gaps in the EV and micromobility space that need to be addressed. We're then going to select innovators, UK SMEs like yourselves, to address those identified market gaps and challenges, and really making sure that the selected companies are well positioned to meet those needs, which will include a series of masterclasses and one-to-one support, and also a market visit that you're going to hear a little bit more about in a bit. And what we're trying to do with this project as well is to try facilitate knowledge exchange through a series of events that will provide UK SMEs, not only the cohort selected, but a wider audience of companies with the necessary tools and information and insights to effectively collaborate in the Indian market. Next slide, please. This is just to show you the flow of the project. We started by engaging with Indian cities, assessing their interest in the program. We then designed the program in collaboration with local stakeholders, And we are engaging with local stakeholders on a day-to-day basis. We then carried out a challenge validation phase, which included in-person workshops and interviews. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that in a bit with my colleague Alize. Finally, we're going for the open call. That's what you're here for today, to understand a little bit more what we were looking for. And then the last phase will be to carry out a program with the selected companies, which will include then an immersion visit to India in next year. Well, that's all from me. I hand over back to Megan, but I'll be here in the room. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them later. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alize McClurg. I'm a social research specialist at Connected Places Catapult, and I'll just talk you through the 4 city challenges that we've come up with for the open call. Thanks, Kat. So first and foremost, CPC has done research over the past few years looking at EVs and micromobility in India. And from that research, we kind of came up with 6 different challenges. But we recognize that maybe some of the research has maybe is outdated, and we really wanted to validate these challenges with city stakeholders in Chennai and Kolkata. So about a month ago, 3 of us from the team went to Chennai and Kolkata, and as Alini mentioned, we hosted workshops with about 40 participants from various sectors. So that included private organizations in the automotive, manufacturing, and mobility industry, different research and academic institutions, non-governmental organizations that are focused on urban planning, climate leadership, and sustainable development, as well as governmental bodies involved in state planning and innovation. So we had a really kind of diverse and comprehensive group of stakeholders. And so we hosted one workshop in Chennai with about 40 people, and then similarly in Kolkata. And so the objective of this workshop were first to validate and prioritize the challenges with the uptake of electric 2- and 3-wheelers for UK SMEs to respond to. So we brought our, kind of pre-existing research and just validated that with Indian stakeholders, and then asked them to prioritize which challenges they wanted UK SMEs to respond to. Then we also wanted to understand the types of partnerships that Indian stakeholders want with UK SMEs. We also wanted to understand the goals, the benefits, and the impacts for Indian stakeholders, and identify opportunities for collaborative projects between UK SMEs and Indian stakeholders. And then lastly, we wanted to understand what kind of criteria is important to Indian stakeholders when we evaluate UK SMEs to join onto this program. So now I can talk about the 4 challenges that we came up with as a result of the workshops. So we have first addressing consumer needs and mindset, enhancing charging infrastructure of electric 2- and 3-wheelers, improving battery technology, and then lastly, facilitating shared electric 2- and 3-wheeler schemes. So if you go to the next slide, I'll talk a bit more in depth about each of the challenges. Thanks. So the first one is Chennai and Kolkata want to increase the uptake of electric 2- and 3-wheelers by addressing passenger and driver concerns and reducing the cost of the vehicle. So this first challenge is really about addressing various consumer needs and the mindset of kind of the Indian public in the uptake of electric 2- and 3-wheelers. So we have 6 different sub-challenges here, and I'll just kind of briefly talk through them. So the first is about range anxiety. So a lot of the workshop stakeholders mentioned that, there are concerns around the driving range and travel potential of electric 2- and 3-wheelers. And while some of this is kind of unfounded because a lot of the trips in Chennai and Kolkata are short distances, the perception of range anxiety is very much still there, and it influences the adoption and the uptake of electric 2- 3-wheelers, which is why it's a sub-challenge. The second is cost, and you'll see that cost comes up in almost every challenge because right now electric 2- and 3-wheelers are more expensive than internal combustion vehicles, and the price point is not at a place that is accessible to a lot of people, and consumers also don't think that there's kind of a good resale value. So anything that can reduce the overall cost of electric 2- and 3-wheelers is essential. The third is vehicle design for comfort, accessibility, and status. And so this has come through, various user research activities. And we found that, the current designs of a lot of the vehicles mean that they can be unstable, which can particularly negatively impact women who want to use them. Additionally, the aesthetic appeal of vehicles maybe isn't as aesthetically appealing as it should be, and that can have kind of an impact on the perceptions of status if people are driving them. And then lastly, not enough storage for goods or for accommodating an extra person. We then have safety concerns. So this can be related to battery safety, particularly the fear that batteries might catch on fire during charging or while driving, as well as features like an SOS button or safety features, particularly to increase the uptake amongst women. We then have skills development. So a lot of workshop participants expressed that there's needed to build a capacity for skills and existing service stations to repair EVs, which can include adequate after-sales support and as well as basic maintenance skills amongst drivers and mechanics. And then the last is consumer awareness, mindset, and willingness to adopt. So, workshop participants felt that overall there's a low consumer awareness amongst the general public about the benefits and the usage of electric 2- and 3-wheelers. So anything that can kind of support the adoption of this new technology and help educate about how to use electric vehicles, the charging, everything around it kind of fits into this challenge. Next slide, please. So the second challenge is about charging infrastructure. So the challenge statement here is improving the charging infrastructure is necessary to increase the uptake of electric 2- and 3-wheelers, which includes making charging more accessible, cheaper, and standardized. So the first here is about the accessibility of charging stations. So workshop participants expressed a need for having more visible charging stations and better located, particularly around public spaces, residential facilities, and commercial properties, while also considering the safety and accessibility of them. The second is standardization. So this is standardization of adapters, charging units, plugs, and anything else related to charging infrastructure so that there can be kind of transferability between different types of vehicles and chargers. The third is the grid infrastructure. So this is really about the capacity to support the increased demand of EV charging. So anything around improving the management and understanding of charging infrastructure. The fourth sub-challenge is renewable energy. So a lot of the conversations were about kind of circular design and the circularity of electric vehicles. So anything that can kind of support the setting up of charging stations that are powered by renewable sources like solar, hydrogen, and hybrid. Then we have improving charging technology. So this includes innovations which could reduce charging time, produce cost-effective chargers, as well as innovative business models, which can help monetize public and private charging stations. And then lastly, similar to the previous challenge, is cost. So anything that can, reduce the cost of electricity, particularly for fast charging, and the high installation cost of charging infrastructure. Next slide, please. The third challenge is about battery technology. So the challenge statement here is improving battery technology is necessary to reduce the cost of electric 2- and 3-wheelers, address safety concerns, and have locally produced batteries that are fit for Chennai and Kolkata context. So the first is improvements in battery design, which can be improving heat transmission, increasing storage density, improving battery safety, and reducing battery weight to minimize tire degradation. Stakeholders also expressed a need for better battery management systems, which are more efficient and smarter to monitor and control EVs. Stakeholders were also interested in exploring alternative chemistries that are more efficient, cost-effective, and suitable, other than lithium-ion batteries. And then, as I mentioned before, this kind of idea of second life and recycling of batteries, as well as waste disposal, was something that got brought up quite a bit throughout the workshops. We also had advanced and alternative battery strategies, which could include battery swapping, battery leasing models to lower entry cost, and other innovative concepts such as regenerative braking. And this also includes retrofitting existing vehicles or making hybrid vehicles. And then lastly, similar to the challenge before, is just the standardization so that we can have interoperability of battery packs to facilitate battery swapping. I think an important point on this challenge is just because of the context and the price point of India, batteries should be locally produced, but, UK SMEs could support in some of these sub-challenges in making them more efficient and improving the innovation around battery technology. And then if you go to the last challenge, please. So the last challenge is about facilitating shared electric 2- and 3-wheeler schemes. So the challenge statement here is integrating electric 2- and 3-wheelers into public transport and enhancing shared mobility schemes is essential for improving the first and last mile transport that is needed in Chennai and Kolkata. So both Chennai and Kolkata have very expansive public transport system, including a metro. And so this was about really integrating, electric and 2- and 3-wheelers to support the first and last mile delivery, as well as, passenger transport. And it was seen that, what's necessary is ensuring that there's a kind of seamless transport experience from the user perspective. The second is booking integration. So mobile banking is very big in India, and there was a view that there needs to be kind of an integration between charging station with public transport apps and a unified payment system. And then lastly, this challenge is more owned by fleet operators, but just managing fleet operations to make them more efficient. So having timely availability of vehicles, including having an understanding and management of vehicle availability during on and off peak times, which could also include kind of GPS tracking of vehicles. I think so that kind of concludes the 4 challenges that are available for the open call. And I think the important thing to say here is that, some of the sub-challenges might not seem as addressable by UK SMEs, but it gives you kind of an overview of what's important and what are the main challenges that Indian stakeholders want to address. And then if you just go to the last slide, please, Kat. So this slide is around the priorities that UK SMEs should be contributing to. So I think throughout all of our discussions that we had in Chennai and Kolkata and the workshop insights, there are really 5 main priorities for Indian stakeholders that all kind of UK SME and Indian partnerships should be focused on. So the first is reducing carbon emissions and air pollutions in each respective city. The second, which I've mentioned, is reducing the total cost of ownership of electric vehicles to make them more accessible across the population. The third is addressing safety concerns and range anxiety. The fourth is making electric 2- and 3-wheelers more inclusive to underrepresented groups. So this includes women, lower income people, and disabled people. And then lastly, as I've mentioned, incorporating renewable energy sources into EV infrastructure and focusing on the recycling of EV parts and the entire circularity of the EV ecosystem. So yeah, as I said, any partnerships that form out of this program should probably kind of focus on these main priorities, because these were recurring themes that came up in multiple conversations about really what's important to Indian city stakeholders at this stage. I will now pass over to Harsha from GBI. Thank you.
Thank you, Alize. Hi, everybody. My name is Harsha Lingam. I'm the COO of Global Business Inroads. Also on the call today, I have my colleague, Dr. Devayan Bose. So Devayan, maybe you just want to quickly introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Harsha. Thanks, everybody. So, yeah, I am Dr. Devayan, and I'm working as a Senior Tech and Innovation Associate. So prior to joining Global Business Inroads, I have a solid research background. I'm coming from a biofuel background, which is what has drawn me to contribute into the field of renewable energy. And I'm very happy now to move into this domain of EV. And yes, so I'm assisting everybody, all the stakeholders in this group. And yes, that's about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Devayan. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, so basically we've been supporting the CPC team on this unlocking for EV value chain project here in India. We already have quite a bit of experience. So we've been around for the last 15 years, looking at supporting technology and knowledge transfer, scaling innovations in the Indian market. We also do a lot of work outside India. So we have offices based in the US, UK, we have offices based in Cambridge. We have offices in Europe. We've done a lot of programs in Africa, in Southeast Asia as well, focused on climate action, bio, health tech, and digital transformation as well. So what we try to bring together is different stakeholders from the technology ecosystem, from the technology adopters space, as well as building ecosystems for developing opportunities for technology and knowledge transfer. between India and the rest of the world. Next slide, please. So basically, we've also kind of set up a help desk through one of our platforms. It's called the Help Desk for Internationalization. We've also set up a platform called the Global Tech Interface. Basically, this is a platform to help different stakeholders connect on a virtual platform. A lot of the startups and SMEs that will be applying for this program will also get access to this Help Desk for Internationalization. So if you have any questions regarding the market and opportunities in India, specifically in the mobility and EV sector, we'll be sending out information and we'll be setting up office hours where you can kind of reach out to us and get information about specific market opportunities in India over the during for the EV and the mobility sector as well. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, just wanted to take you guys through some few case studies. Next slide, we can dive right into it, of some projects and opportunities that we've been working on where, there have been some practical collaborations. So we've recently worked with the Government of India, the Principal Scientific Advisory Office, and the European Commission on an EU EV India battery recycling project. Basically, the objective was this to facilitate exchange of innovative technologies in the EV battery recycling space. So our colleagues basically facilitated the participation of 6 European and 6 Indian technology SMEs and startups, basically. And then out of the 6, 3 of them were provided the opportunity to look at a 1-week immersion trip. So the 6 Indian startups were taken to Europe and the European startups were brought to India to meet with different stakeholders, to meet with different potential partners, customers, and clients to look at technology collaborations between EU and India. Next slide, please. We've also worked with Connected Places Catapult in the past. So we've done a program which was focused on net zero innovations and twinning programs. So this was more of a city-to-city kind of a collaboration. So basically, we used Bangalore in Karnataka and Manchester from UK to look at opportunities for collaboration and knowledge and technology and technology transfer in the net zero sector. So we kind of did multiple workshops. We had interactions with different stakeholders, both from the Manchester and the Bangalore ecosystem, to identify specific areas and challenges that both as cities, as regions, could collaborate to address some of these challenges and opportunities for technology and knowledge transfer was facilitated through this program as well. Yeah, next slide, please. So apart from that, we've also been working with the Catapult Energy Systems and the Indian Institute of Science on a project called Innovating for Transport and Energy Systems. Basically, through this project, over the last, I think, 8 months, we've been supporting 40 plus UK innovators in the energy, EV, and transport sector. We've been conducting a lot of masterclasses on doing business in India, market opportunities, looking at the legal, tax, and IP regulations, helping them with partner identification as well. We're also now working specifically with about 5 UK innovators to look at deploying some of their projects. So on the next slide, if we go there, we have some example of some of the projects that we're currently working on. We're working with a company called Power Up Grid Services, called POUGS from UK. They are working currently with ConnectM and Motorvolt. These are 2 companies based out of India. They're working on a pilot project to look at developing a just-in-time battery swapping technology. Basically, the idea is to kind of understand the different charging and discharging characteristics, and basically when the charging of the specific battery comes down, you look at a battery swapping model to optimize the range anxiety and various other factors that concern battery swapping technologies. Another example is a company called NextMu. Basically, they are from UK and they have expertise in the battery management systems. So they are now working with an Indian OEM called By My EV to look at setting up, developing, co-developing a battery management system for integration and testing in the Indian market. So basically, they're working very closely right now, and I think it's been about 4 months. And they're also trying to see if they can also develop some IP through their joint research and pilot projects that they're working on. We've also been working with Ionics, it's called Jet Engineering Services. They're again based out of UK to see help them collaborate with CSIR and the National Chemical Laboratory and the Pune Hydrogen Valley to develop a 10 kilowatt AEM electrolyzer prototype in India as well. Next slide, please. This is an example of another organization that we've been working with. This is basically a Dutch solar company called Zigzag Solar. This is a pretty interesting case study as well, because we have been working with them over the last few months. So right from the beginning, helping them understand the market potential for this innovative technology in India. We help them facilitate contacts with local vendors to localize their entire supply chain, right from the aluminum moldings to the ACP to the solar panels to everything that's required to set up their local supply chain, both for the Indian as well now for international markets as well. Then we've also helped them set up and identify a potential pipeline of potential customers. And we are currently now in the process of setting up a 10 kilowatt system as a pilot project at one of the larger universities based out of Gujarat. So basically, we've been working with them right from understanding the market to helping them develop the local supply chain to set up pilot projects, as well as now helping them, expand and scale in the Indian market. I think that was the last of my slides. Thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, yes, you can feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Harsha and Dabayan, for that. So I'll now take you through the open call and the process of how to apply to this opportunity. So first of all, why apply? You've heard about the challenges and you've heard from Harsha and Dabayan about our partners. So a cohort of up to 10 SMEs will be selected for this. And as part of this, being a part of this cohort, you will get great opportunities. So that will include, I think, as Line mentioned, masterclasses, one-to-one support with market access specialists. You will have the opportunity to engage with other startups, with large corporates, local government, investors, and then it all kind of culminates in this trip to a fully funded opportunity to go to Chennai and Kolkata in February 2025 in a visit that we're calling the immersion visit. Next slide, please, Kat. So who can apply? This is a bit about the eligibility. So we ask everybody that applies must be based within the UK and an SME. So that is a micro, small or medium-sized enterprise. We ask that you have a technology readiness level of 6 or above, which means your technology has been demonstrated in an operational environment. And we also would like commitment from a senior person within the organisation to take part. They can confirm that they can take part in not only the visit, but also the preparation activities and the programme of SME support that we'll be offering. There are 4 challenges, as mentioned, but you are more than welcome to apply to more than one challenge. We just ask that you do so in a new application per challenge. Next slide, please, Kat. So how can you apply? All this information is on our website, but it will also be circulated after this webinar. So on our website, you go onto the opportunity page and there is a big green button saying apply now. So you click on that and next page, please, Kat. And then it takes you through to this page. So this is the open call page, and you can see there on the left that there are a number of sections that we ask you to complete. And there's just 3 things on this that I'd like to highlight. So if you could click, please, Kat. So first of all, it auto-saves, which is really helpful because then you won't lose any of your work. If you could click again. Yeah, just there on the bottom left of the screen, you can see that there is an option to add in collaborators, which is really helpful because the person that starts the application will be the lead applicant. But if you have partners within the company, colleagues, that can answer some of the questions and they have more knowledge about it, you can invite them to be a collaborator so that you can all work on this application form together. And then click once again, please, Kat. And then on the right of the screen here, this is probably the most helpful. It is the support button. So that is manned by the organisation Simply Do that run the Open Call platform, and they're there every day to answer any technical questions you may have. And if they can't answer them, they will be able to direct you back to us as well, and we can answer. Next page, please, Kat. So this is the timeline. So as you can see, the Open Call launched last week, and we are having the webinar today. The Open Call closes on the 24th of November, and prior to it closing, we'll be having some drop-in sessions where you can ask any questions or go through any queries of the application page. They will be published after this event, so look out for those. Then from the week commencing the 9th of December, selected applicants, so that's, imagine a semi-final sort of stage, they will be invited to interview, and then the winners will be announced in the middle of December. So between December and March 2025, we will have the SME support programme, the pre-mission activities, and then the immersion visit to India will take place in February 2025. Please note that it does say there the 17th of February, but that is subject to change due to events, flights, etc. So next page, please, Kat. Perfect. So this is the selection criteria. This is what we will be looking for anybody applying. And I know there's a lot of text there, so just look at the 4 titles. So the applications will be evaluated on impact. Does the solution address the challenge that they have applied for? Innovation, is the proposed solution or technology novel? Sustainability, is the business model sustainable and scalable? And it's important to note that, you know, from the UK and India, India operates on an entirely different scale to the UK, so that's worth bearing in mind. And also partnership readiness. Is the applicant, is the company open to working with an international partner? All this is available on our website as well. So, and this will be available following the webinar, so don't feel like you need to read it all now. So next page, please, Kat. So that is the open call. If you have any questions, we'll be taking questions, so please do put them in the Q&A or the chat. I actually have a few that have already come in. So the fully funding, what does it cover? It covers transport to India and travel whilst in country, and also accommodation. It does not cover visas, insurance, and meals whilst in country. That takes me on to another question, which is visas and vaccinations. So as part of the open call, we ask that you review the UK government's page on visas and vaccinations and passport requirements to India, and ensure that not only are you aware of them, but you can also comply with them. What else? We have, so the evaluation stage, I mentioned it briefly in the slide previously, but so what will happen is the open call will close. People will be notified if they have been invited through to interview, and then the interviews will be arranged, and then following that, the final cohort will be announced. I'll just check if there's any other questions. Oh, no. And then the commitment required to take part. We did mention, so the commitment is a senior member of the organisation will be asked to confirm that they are not only able to be present on the trip, and it's 1 individual per SME, so there will be a cohort of up to 10 people attending. They are available to go onto the trip and also participate in the programme of events and the support prior to that. But I think that was all the questions. Unless there are any more, let me have a look. Nope. So this webinar will be shared after this. It will be available on the open call page, and the drop-in sessions for any further questions will be shared as well on the page. So I think, Aline, if that is everything, if you'd like to just close up.
Of course. Hello, everyone. Yes, thank you so much, Megan, and all the other speakers today. Thanks so much for attending. The session is being recorded and, of course, will be available online for everyone to watch. And this is just in terms of next steps. Please do apply, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. But we're really excited and looking forward to receiving your application. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.